Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm the Bear from the XWF, and I was just going to take the time to do a little bit of a CPV review for YFW Road Crossing pay-per-view. I just watched the highlights for this show, about an hour ago, and I really thought I'd take the time to do a little review of the matches, because I really enjoyed the show, and I wanted to give my opinions about it. Okay, so basically, first up, we had Griff versus Z3K. Now, these two guys are both new to the YFW. They both wanted to go out there and show what they was made of and show that they can be stars and big players in the future of the YFW. Now, I just want to say I think this was a great decision from the YFW to open the show with these two guys. They're hungry, and they wanted to go out and show everyone what they could do. And they definitely did that. The match was full of high-octane energy, went backwards and forwards. Both men took control, lost control throughout the match. There was a few near falls, but eventually Griff won with an impressive move. It was like a corkscrew body splash type move. I don't know if he's got a name for that, but, people need to be watching out for that move. It's very impressive. In general, I think that was a great way to open the show. Like I said, it got the fan on their feet. It got them pumped up. And I give props to the YFW for starting the pay-per-view with that match. I gave it a 7.5, which I think is a great score, considering these two guys are pretty new on the scene. They're rookies, they want to get their names out there. I think they've both got potential to get far in the YFW. So, yeah, 7.5 for that match. Great match to start the show. Okay, so next up, we had the Arizona Bros versus A-Fire Core in a tag team match. I got no faults with this match. There was some impressive tag team action there. Both teams showed great technical ability. They both took control of the match, and they both utilized some intuitive reversals to regain control when they were out of the driver's seat and get it back in their control. And the action was backwards and forwards, and it was fast-paced. But there was a point in the match when it was starting to look bleak for A-Fire Core, but Ezekiel Hardcore, he got a hot tag, came in, knocked one of the Arizonas off of the apron before hitting the other with his finishing move. Even though there was a valiant attempt for the Arizona to try to get back in the ring and break the pin, it just wasn't quite enough. And A-Fire Core leaves the pay-per-view with the victory, as the winners, showing that they're a force to be reckoned with. Now, my comments on this match, man, I just think this was a great demonstration of what the YFW have got going on with their tag division at the moment, showing what they got to showcase. If the teams can keep this sort of standard up, YFW could have some of the best tag team action out there in the E-Feds as far as I'm concerned currently. That's not an exaggeration. I'm really rated this match. It was full of energy. It was fast. It was fluid. The fans were loving it. It was just a great match. So I gave A-Fire Core versus the Arizona Bros 8 out of 10. It was a really good match. Really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to seeing where these teams go from here. Okay, so third up, we had Sue versus Sophia Saint, and this was our first title match of the night for the YFW Divas Championship. Sue took control of the match early on. She was going hard and fast, but it wasn't long until Sophia Saint appeared to be putting pure domination on the champion. I thought at one point, Sophia Saint could take this title if Sue's not careful. But then out of nowhere, Sue just mounted a quick comeback and finished the match with a sharp kick right in the jaw of Sophia, knocked her almost out cold, blistered her, just 1, 2, 3. I think the match was a bit short, to be honest with you. It was a good match for what it was, but I was a bit disappointed with how short it was. I was hoping these two were going to go at each other hard and longer, and I was really looking forward to a good, solid Divas match. There was chemistry between them, don't get me wrong, but I'd really like to see a rematch between them, because like I said, it was a bit short. Post-match, however, Hardback came down to the ring, intimidated Sue, forced her into the corner. But luckily, Mario Sanchez comes running down to Sue's rescue. The fans are backing him, they're on their feet, they're cheering loud, and Hardback retreats out in the end of it. As far as I'm concerned, what happened after the match was actually more exciting than what happened in the match. No offense to the YFW, no offense to Sue or Sophia Saint, It was the first title match of the show. I think it was the weakest match of the show overall. I want to see more from these girls. I want to see another match somewhere down the line. So I gave this match 5 out of 10. Definitely the weakest match on the card. So next we moved on to the YFW Cruiserweight Championship ladder match. This one was to crown the first ever Cruiserweight champion. And in this match, you had Mr. Amazing, you had David Mill, you had Troy Marley, and Jacob Tiger. And let me just say, these guys absolutely smashed this match. They blew the roof off the freaking place. As far as I'm concerned, it was probably the match of the night, and that's saying something considering the standard of a lot of the matches that went on this night. These guys just, it was just ridiculous. If this is what the Cruiserweight division is looking at, I just think we're in for a treat. Okay, so, where do I start with this match? Okay, everyone went all out. Everyone hit everyone with all the moves in their arsenal. They just went to the extreme. You could feel the adrenaline and the passion in all these guys wanted to climb up for that belt. There was a point where Tiger was, he was gripping on that title. Mr. Amazing powerbombed him from the top of the ladder, and then, it was just mad. There was a point where David Mill and Amazing were at the top of the ladder, and Tiger pushed it, and they came crumbling down, the power of gravity. Yeah, it was just nuts, man. They just went all over each other. They hit each other with ladders. There was a chair involved. These guys just went absolutely mad on each other, and I did not know who was going to win. Everyone had a chance to win at each point of the match. It was so even. It was so balanced. There was a point where Mr. Maiden was hanging off the ropes, and then he got an electric chair dropped. They really went all out on it. And in the end, David Mill, he just about got his hands on it. He climbed up. His fingers were reaching. He got a hold of it. He pulled it down. The fans just went absolutely nuts for him. You could feel the fan respect for this guy. A guy that was so close to winning the YFW Intercontinental Championship previously, and he just couldn't get the job done. But here tonight at Road Crossing, he did it. It was an emotional moment, man. I felt it. The guy held the belt up. The fans went absolutely nuts. He climbed to the top of the ladder, held it above his head, and I had absolute respect for the guy, So, fair play to David Mill. Honestly, I think this guy has got a big future in the YFW. And that's not to say the rest of the guys didn't do well, Massive shout out to the rest of the guys in this match. I gave this match 10 out of 10. I think this match deserved a 10 out of 10. It was high octane. 4 guys put everything on the line. They put their bodies on the line. We made history because they crowned the first ever Cruiserweight champion, and I don't think there was a more deserving guy in the ring for it. So that's my 2 cents on that match, and I know from seeing other people's opinions of the match, I'm not alone thinking that was possibly the best match on the card. Okay, so next up on the card, we had a match, which was D-Mac versus Arrow. Now, basically, from what I'm understanding here, is that D-Mac lost the Battle Royal. He was frustrated. He started running his mouth, and then this youngster, Arrow, comes out. And he says, you're an arrogant son of a bitch, you're an arrogant jackass, whatever. And that he will give D-Mac a lesson to not blame the YFW fans for his own shortcomings. And this is a surefire way to get yourself over with the fans. You want to be the guy that the fans like. You got to protect them. You got to look out for them. Somebody runs their mouth against him, you got to be the one that goes out there and says, no, I ain't taking that. And that's what Arrow did. So I got a lot of respect for the guy for that. Now, as for the match, I thought it was a solid encounter. I thought it was a really good match. They had a lot to follow up on. Bear in mind, you just had this incredible Cruiserweight Championship match before. But these guys, they went out there and they gave it everything they had. Arrow looked extremely good for a new guy, for a rookie, going against a powerhouse like D-Mac. Arrow was all over him. He was suplexing him. He was drop kicking him. He was just hitting him with everything in his arsenal. But then at the same time, D-Mac was just nailing him with these power bombs and this sort of black hole slam. there was a point where Arrow jumped up for a Hurricane Runner and D-Mac just powerbombed him with incredible force. You know, this guy is not someone you want to mess with. But, you know, basically the end of the match came with Arrow putting his arm underneath him and nailing him with what can only be described as his finishing maneuver. I don't know what it was, but it was great. D-Mac rolled out the ring. He knew he was defeated. He was bashing his hands on the ring, frustrated. But, you know, Arrow was successful when it came down to it. You know, a very promising victory for this guy. The fans were all over it. And, you know, this has definitely set the wheels in motion for Arrow. And you're thinking, where's Arrow going to go from here? And then Victor X comes out on the stage. He comes out with a microphone and he says, you know, you really think you're good stealing my spots? You know, cash a briefcase on me for the World Heavyweight Championship in EWE and all this. You know, and Victor X says, we'll see what happens when I kick your ass in the next CPV. And everyone's like, oh shit. Victor X versus Arrow at the next CPV. And, you know, then Victor X drops the bombshell and says it's going to be freaking Extreme Rules. And, you know, I got the hairs on my freaking arms standing up at this point. I was well up for that. Basically, I gave the match a 7 out of 10. I thought it was a very good encounter. Like I said, they had a lot to follow from the Cruiserweight match, but they went out there and they gave it their best shot. It wasn't the best match on the card, but it was a very solid one, indeed. Okay, so next up on the card, we had the Intercontinental Championship. Can I just say something? You know, I'm going to go into a rant mode here. I'm so glad, you know, big props to YFW for putting the Intercontinental Championship match in this position on the card. Because I see so many federations, you know, just using the Intercontinental Championships or Internet Championships or network titles, whatever you want to call them, that mid-cardy sort of title. They're just using it anywhere, here and there, you know, on the pre-show, opening the show. They don't feature the pay-per-view. This isn't a dig at other federations, but I'm just saying, as a man who's old school like me, I respect that title being in the, you know, in the sub-main event, as you like. So fair play to YFW. I think it adds so much credibility to the title and the championship. And, no, it's not to say never open with the title at a pay-per-view. I know just as much as the others that an Intercontinental Championship match opening the show can be a great way to get the fans on their feet and started. But I just appreciated what the YFW did with the positioning of this title match. So, yeah, basically, Mart War, he was the, you know, the newly crowned Intercontinental Champion. And he went out and he won it fair and square, and, you know, he's had a good run with it. He changed the design of it, and he made an open challenge. And the guy that accepted that open challenge was, you know, the talented guy, Salvador, young, fresh, wanted to make a name for himself. You know, he said, Mart War, if you listen to me, you're a good example for the rest of the locker room and for me. And, you know, I might not have been here for as long as you. I might not have been here as long as some of the other guys in the back out there, but I think I've got the skills, and I'm going to give it everything, and I want to take this title shot opportunity that you're given. And, you know, Mart War, as the champion that he is, he wasn't going to back down. He gave Salvador the shot. So, yeah, the match, it was great. Mart War started strong, you know, reversing anything Salvador gave him and turned it into his own. It wasn't long before Salvador turned the tables. Some beautifully executed drop kicks and tilt-a-whirl side slams. Mart War was just delivering moves like you wouldn't believe. A bulldog from the top rope, massive swinging clothesline combination, almost ripping the guy down. Salvador did a backflip off the turnbuckle, tricking Mart War, elbowed him, knocked him down, kicked him in the chest about 500 times, but Mart War still kicked out. There was a very near fall about halfway through the match when I thought Mart War recovered and retained the title. It wasn't enough. Salvador locked him into this incredible submission. I thought Mart War was going to tap out, but he managed to fight his way out. The match carried on going backwards and forwards. So it was a great shining wizard from Salvador. I thought it was over, but Mart War kicked out. And then the the ending caught me by surprise. I gotta be honest with you. And it looked like Martin Moore was setting him up for a signature or finishing maneuver, and Salvador just whips under him, hooks him in a schoolboy pin, and gets the 1, the 2, the 3, and, the fans were on their feet. But at the same time, there was a bit of disbelief there. I don't even think Martin Moore saw that coming, but it definitely won his respect. Because while Salvador was celebrating, Martin Moore went out and he got that Intercontinental Championship. He brought it in the ring and he passed it over to Salvador as a show of respect, lifted his arm up in the air. And, the fans were just going crazy for Salvador. And Martin Moore then got a microphone, and he basically he looked a bit emotional. And I was like, what's going on there? What's he got to say? He gets his microphone and he says, unfortunately he can no longer continue fighting in the YFW. And the fans are like, what the hell? What the hell? He says, someday I will. Someday I will. I can't do it right now. Which was a big shock at this pay-per-view, And he says, but I have been offered to be the general manager of SmackDown, which I'm going to accept. To which the fans go crazy, a nice announcement there. So we're not sure of the details of why not. But Mario Sanchez comes down with the world title around his waist, and he freaking hugs Martin Moore. It's a great moment. And he claps him out, and Martin Moore, he raises his hands to the fans. It was a great match, to be honest with you. I gotta give you that. The Intercontinental Championship, these two guys, they gave it everything they had. The credibility of the Intercontinental Championship in the YFW is through the roof following this match. Really enjoyed the match. I gave the match a 9 out of 10, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what Salvador can do now that he's the Intercontinental Champion. And he's got to use this match and this title victory as a platform, as a booster, as a jetpack to, fly himself high up in the YFW rankings and make a name for himself. So, yeah, I really enjoyed the match. It was a shame and a shock to the system what Martin Moore said, but, he did what he's got to do. Everyone did what they got to do. Congratulations to Salvador. Great match. Okay, so, after this, basically, we go backstage and we see Stinger, get him mentally prepared for this big main event that he's going to be a part of. He wants to win this title back. And as he leaves the locker room, freaking D-Mac just gets him and throws him into a freaking, a dumpster or something. That's it. We got a match. We got a main event here. Mario comes out. Hardback comes out. And there is no sign of Stinger. But, as far as he's backstage, he's busted. The match must go on. So this comes into a one-on-one match between Sanchez and Hardback. And these two men go at each other. And Hardback is just smashing the crap out of Mario Sanchez. Just absolutely dominate him. There's nothing Mario can do. It's a one-sided fight. And whatever Mario makes some sort of comeback, Hardback's just decimating him. And then out of nowhere, Mario, he hits the floor, he gets up, he's angry, he hits some shoulder blocks, slams Hardback down, hits him with a fist drop in between the eyes, a kick to the abdomen, spins around, puts him on his shoulders, and nails him with the "You've Got Served" for the very near 3 count, but Hardback kicks out. But this is where Mario starts taking control of the match. But then again, before you know it, slowly Hardback's turning this back into his battle. It's just back and forth between these two at this point, but Hardback always seems to cut him down, always seems to shut him down, and it puts him up for that massive, I don't know what he calls it, it's a shell shock type maneuver. Mario kicks out, and then Stinger freaking comes out. This guy is beaten up backstage by D-Mac, and he comes out, and he cleans the ring. He throws Mario out, springboards onto him, he gets in, springboards into Hardback. Mario throws him into the corner, he runs up the turnbuckle, does a backflip, and takes both men out. It's just nuts. Stinger is absolutely on fire, and I'm thinking Stinger's going to win this title, man. Stinger's going to win this freaking title. But, he couldn't get it done at this point. Someone would always break the pin. He went for a crossbody. Sanchez caught him and nailed him with a "You Got Served." Then he nailed Hardback with a "You Got Served." And I'm like, this could be over. But, no, he breaks the pin. Stinger breaks the pin. You know, so many pinfalls, and then D-Mac comes out, grabs Stinger, pulls his neck down onto the rope. Stinger races him out the ring, chases him, and this comes down to just Mario Sanchez and Hardback. Hardback puts him up, nails him with that shell shot maneuver again, and then freaking AJ Reyes comes out on the stage. You know, fans absolutely going nuts on their feet for AJ. Hardback's just looking at him, you know, staring daggers into him. He turns around, Sanchez gets up, nails him with a "You've Got Served." 1, 2, 3, and Mario Sanchez retains the title. The fans go absolutely nuts. It was a solid main event for a solid overall pay-per-view. You know, AJ comes running down, Sue comes running down, they celebrate together in the ring. It's a photo finish, you know, it's a great ending to a great pay-per-view. And then Shadow comes out on the stage and starts clapping. You know, Shadow starts clapping, and they have a little, you know, I felt a bit of tension there between these two guys. I don't know if there was, but that's just what I felt. The main event was very good. I felt like it was a bit overbooked. I felt like there was a lot going on, you know. Stinger wasn't in the match, then he was in the match, and then D-Mac came down, then Stinger raced him off, and then AJ Reyes came back, and then Sue came down afterwards, and then Shadow came. You know, there was a lot going on. It felt a bit overbooked, but I'm not going to take anything away from it. I think it was a solid main event, and I gave it an 7 out of 10. Overall, you know, this pay-per-view is worth watching, guys. You know, what YFW is doing here is they're really finding their feet, and they're putting on some absolutely quality material, and Road Crossing is not a pay-per-view to miss. So please support the YFW, support the other federations, you know, support Undiscovered Core Talent, and yeah. I'll just say this to Mario 619 TV. Keep up the good work, my friend. You're doing great with your shows. And everyone else, keep up the good work. I'm the Bear, and I'm going to try and do some more reviews when I get time. So if anyone else has got shows they want reviewed, be sure to send me a link. I've been the Bear, as always. Peace out.